The 2022 season of F1 ended with a bang, sort of. Between Verstappen winning his second world champion title, Hamilton not winning a single race, and Vettel retiring, there was a lot going on. In today's video, we'll talk about how the teams were able to overcome the challenges of 2022 regulations and much more. So, here's a tech review of the 2022 F1. First up, here's how 2022 went for Formula 1 tech-wise. With the season officially over, everyone's got something to say about the teams and how they managed to deal with the new regulations imposed. Now, of course, they've got a lot to say about big-time teams such as Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, but sadly not enough attention is being paid to low-key teams. So let's see how things went for Williams, AlphaTauri, and Haas. And just so you know, a cost cap was also in place that kept constructors from building a car more expensive than $142 million. And if this cap was in any way violated, the team would have to pay a penalty of around $7 million. Now, what's up with Williams? The team was hoping to continue its improvement streak up the grid, just like it's been doing for the past season, but this time around things didn't exactly work out as the team had planned. Now, this is actually pretty sad since Williams had all the opportunities to go ahead. You see, with the new rules and the cost cap leveling, they easily could have competed against the big teams, but sadly that wasn't the case. In fact, their performance, if you take a look at their points, was pretty disappointing. They managed to get a hold of only 8 points. That's right, several of their races earned them 0 points, 17 to be exact, and the highest number of points a car managed to earn was 2. Let's see what tricks Williams had up their sleeves. No team went for an identical approach to their car concept or the development programs, so this gives us quite a range of technology to review, and as for Williams, they went in a pretty bold direction and operated for FW44's initial side pod design. A short ramp style solution feature and a reward-facing bypass outlet accompanied this. Now, this could have two possible uses. It could be sealed to allow greater airflow to reach the large variety of radiators and coolers, or it might be used to enable airflow to move through the main inlet, after which it would go down over the side pod's shoulder. Okay, now let's review the side pod in both states, open and closed. So, comparison showed that the engineers put in place an internal baffle just above the side impact spar while the rear outlet bodywork was in place. After all these changes, there was still the problem of how to stiffen the floor assembly, especially considering new regulations. So to deal with this, the team added a floor stay before the rear tire just before the second Grand Prix of the season, but this wasn't the only addition. They also ended up adding another cooling panel on the engine cover. Of course, the team also had to deal with the requirements of Circuit de Catalunya, and for that, they ended up bringing in a higher downforce package with a rear-engineered front wing. Moving on, short ramp solution, Red Flow Vis paint. What changes did the team make mid-season? The team sprayed the engine cover, the floor, and the high downforce with Red Flow Vis paint. They used the high downforce package in Monaco again, but only this time they increased the front brake duct inlet size and made some changes to the front suspension fairings. This was done to help the car adapt to the low-speed demands of the street circuit. Fortunately for the team, they ended up realizing that their side pod solution wasn't going to give the results they had originally hoped for, so they started looking for replacements, and get this, the new solution was actually inspired by Red Bull. The team got rid of its short ramp tech and instead went for a variant that was longer in length. Now, this, of course, ended up impacting other parts of the car, such as the engine cover and floor fences, so they decided to fully lean in with the changes and made alterations to the edge of the floor as well. And as for things that remained the same, the team kept its butterfly-shaped steering wheel with a middle-line screen on the dashboard. Next up, AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri is basically the often overlooked sister that's been growing in the shadows of its high-achieving sister, Red Bull. Of course, there's a perfectly acceptable explanation behind this. They just don't have the matching resources, but it would be unfair if we say that the team hasn't provided its worth quite a few times. Sadly though, 2022 is not one of those times for the team. When it comes to points and the constructors standing, the team grabbed 35 this season. Their season high was 10, which they got in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Now, what tech did the team go for? Images released by the team helped us take a closer look at the car's rear end, which fully shows the ramp side pod, spoon-shaped rear wing, and high-waisted rear cooling outlet. They also showed that the cooler above the power unit was placed in a saddle-like position. In the second Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia, the team ended up adding a new rear wing. This addition had the same basic structure, but included a much more shallow, spoon-shaped main plane that helped reduce drag and downforce. Moving on, what changes did the team make mid-season? In the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, the team ended up changing the floor edge, where they altered the scrolled misdirection in order to help with the flow conditions. The Spanish Grand Prix brought a new high downforce rear wing, and on top of this, the team ditched the white paint, hoping that it would help decrease the weight. When the season advanced to Baku, the engineers tried their best to fit in with the high-speed circuit and trimmed the trailing edge of the upper flap at the front wing. They also made changes to the car's beam wing, hoping that it would go well with the rear wing choice. The French Grand Prix saw them switch up the floor fences, which ended up affecting the edge detailing and resulted in their further optimization. Get this, the team also ended up widening the engine cover bodywork for better airflow. They also saw it fit to change up the diffuser, hoping to maximize their performance. When they reached the Hungarian Grand Prix, the team used FlowViz on the rear wing to increase downforce. The rear wing went through some more changes in the upcoming races. The Belgian Grand Prix and the Dutch Grand Prix, their last major modification was in Singapore, when they significantly altered the nose. The alterations moved it to the upper surface, with the main plane arched downward in the midsection. In the Mexican Grand Prix, they used the most cooling Louver Tech, hoping that it would be enough to deal with the temperatures and altitude. This race also saw them using their biggest rear cooling outlet of the 2022 season. What's more, let's focus on Haas. We're not gonna lie, the team had us in the first half. Their amazing start made it seem like they were ready to switch up their reputation on the grid, but sadly they didn't last for long. Granted, they got that super shocking pole position at the Brazilian Grand Prix, but it didn't exactly go up from there. Now, that's a bit sad since the word on the street is that they sacrificed their 2021 season hoping they'd be able to do better in 2022. Well, hard luck for them. Moving on, here's an overview of their tech. The engineers raised their engine cover shark fin at the rear of the car, which helped in keeping heat from being built up under the covers of the car by providing another outlet right to the spine. And with this, they could also reduce the rear outlet size. Now, the end plate of the front wing also housed quite a variety of innovative tech solutions. The leading edge was given a knuckle-like shape, with the dive plane looking similar to a wishbone. This definitely gave the car a very unique aerodynamic profile, so kudos to that. Now, while this design was changed in the later races, the early floor had somewhat tall fences that allowed it to control the direction of the airflow, so it basically went from over the floor to the tunnel entrance, but of course this ended up being switched up later in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Coming up next, what changes did the team make to the car mid-season? Now, the Hungarian Grand Prix we were talking about earlier also happened to be the race when the team saw its biggest upgrade. That's right, they used smaller fences and a wide range of other components. Apart from that, another alteration to the VF-22 design was incorporating a Ferrari-like bathtub-style side pod. You know, the ones where there's a depression on the upper surface. This obviously led to quite a few changes, including an alteration to the geometry and the louvered panel used to get rid of the heat within. An overall shift in the shape of the side pod also accompanied these changes. If you take a look at the images of the car, you'll notice that it's a bit more inclined than the original one. But what's expected of these changes? Well, more or less these changes were introduced to control the tire wake which the front tire would generate. It seems like things really didn't work out for them as they ended the season with just 37 points, earning 14 points in the Austrian, which ended up being their record high of the 2022 season. But that's a wrap for this video, my friends. In what way did these cars fail to reach the mark? Was it because of the resources, or could they have done a better job at constructing a better car? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one with the latest updates.